The opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para-X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Step outside of your comfort zone. See the world with a whole new perspective. Join us and experience the unexplained on the Paranormal View.
And welcome everybody right here to the Paranormal View on the Para-X Radio Network. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be with us tonight, those in the chat room and those listening from around the world. We appreciate each and every one of you. Been a real nice weekend where I'm at, and a lot of the country has been pretty nice, looks like, except for a couple of places like Hawaii and northern Ohio, you might say, and over around Philadelphia and Baltimore and all those areas. So, but
yeah, in Hawaii, they're just playing just this continual game of the floor is lava.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if you're listening from somewhere around the world, you'd like to come over and join us here in the chat room, feel free to do so. Come over to para-x.com and click on the Chat Now button up at the top, and you'll be in with all these wonderful people to interact with them and interact with us. You can also ask us questions, and if you do have questions tonight, you can private chat them to Henry Foister or Ceiling Cat, and we'll get those answered for you. And if you're listening from somewhere else and you don't want to come to the chat room, you can still ask a question and just send it to theparanormalview@gmail.com and put attention question. We will get those answered for you. Tonight, we're just kind of going to be laid back, chit-chatting a whole lot with some people. A couple weeks ago, I guess it's close to a month now almost. We was at Gettysburg and had our annual The Paranormal View group meeting at Gettysburg and did some wonderful things. And tonight we have with us Jeffrey Gould.
Hello.
And Barbara Duncan. Now, neither one of them was at Gettysburg with us, but tonight we have with us who attended at Gettysburg, Mike Stevenson.
Howdy, everyone.
And Don Allison.
Good evening.
And a little bit later, after his show gets over at 9 o'clock, we'll have Steve Shockley on with us. So we're going to have a lot of good personal experiences to talk about. And we do have some EVPs we'll be playing. Some you'll be able to hear a lot better than some of the others. A lot of them was kind of low, or the way that they were, I guess, gone through, it makes it real hard to hear over the air. I'll try and play some of them, but you may or may not be able to hear it. But I know Mike will be able to tell you about the ones that he did, and Steve, when he gets on, will be able to tell you about the ones that he did. This time at Gettysburg, we went to a place called the Gettysburg Brew Works. It was a Confederate field hospital during the Civil War, and kind of an old place. It was neat. It was now a brewery and a restaurant, so we also ate there before we did the investigation. And we only did the investigation for about 2 hours, I believe it was. But we still had some activity and some personal experiences. We had, I guess, must have been close to 14, 15 people with us. So with a lot of people, sometimes it gets pretty noisy, but it wasn't just inside the building. There's places outside that people was able to go to. So we'll be talking all about those. So getting together with everybody once a year like that, we usually have a great time. A lot of just being able to hang out and chit chat and talk about different things, and had a really good time, not just at the investigation, but even after the investigation. And we'll be talking all about that. So with that, I guess, Barbara, did you want to ask anything to start with, or wait till they talk
I
some?
think you ought to give a little bit of a recap of all the places that you went to, not just the Brewworks.
You're asking the wrong person. Let's see. I guess we started doing some stuff Friday. The battlefield itself they had a lot of it closed off because they were doing burning off weeds and redoing it. They are working on doing the battlefield and getting it to look the way it did during the 3 days of battle at Gettysburg. A lot of the brush and everything from around Devil's Den had been burned all off. All the underbrush in front of Little Round Top, that had been burned off, and they was doing a lot of work. So a lot of it was marked off to where you couldn't get to it, and it was real windy when we was there, so it was making it awful difficult for them to try and do some burn. But we did go over to where the battle first started on Friday morning, and it was was that Friday morning or Saturday morning we went over there? Did I lose everybody?
No, I'm still here. I thought it was Saturday morning.
It could have been Saturday morning. I was trying. What did we do Friday? Did you come up Friday morning or Friday afternoon?
I was there Friday. In fact, I got up there early on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Well, I know people didn't start getting in till late Friday, so
Right.
we didn't really do a whole lot. We sat around and did a lot of talking and going through some EVPs on Friday.
Yeah.
But I think we went out to eat. We went over to the pizza place to eat dinner, or late lunch, I guess you might say. And then then we didn't really do a whole lot on Friday. I don't think we went to too many places on Friday. We did Saturday morning, though. We went over to where the battle first started, over by, who was the general that got killed?
Reynolds.
Reynolds, yep. We went over and seen his marker. Some of them walked out into the woods there. Again,
Yep.
the time we got over there, it was getting very crowded. There was a lot of people there over the weekend, and I wouldn't have thought that there'd been that many in early April. But there was so many people where you couldn't actually get out and do any EVP work. You could just kind of like go around and look at the sites. So we did that, and then everybody just kind of bummed around the biggest part of Saturday until Saturday afternoon, late Saturday afternoon, I guess. We did go to Mr. G's and had ice cream, and did some walking around town like that. Then we went to dinner, and that was right close to the hotel. I guess that might have been a late lunch, kind of, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was more. It was before we ate at the Brew Works. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Yeah, it was. It was more of a lunch, yes.
Well, now I take that back. Friday we did the Brew Works.
Oh, that's right. Saturday was before we did the show.
Saturday.
That's right. It was.
Friday night we went to the Brew Works. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's correct.
What did we do Friday? I know we did something, but that was, yeah, we ate at Tommy's Pizza, kind of around 3 or something like that, and then we went back and rested for a little bit, at the hotel before we decided to meet up at the brew works. And we got out there at 7, maybe a little before 7.
Yeah.
I think it was around 6, didn't it?
Yeah, that's where I first met up with you guys, Henry, and I think it was 6:30 and through there.
Right, and we kind of looked around the place and then had dinner there before we started the investigation at 10 o'clock. That's what it was.
I was going to say, you went to
Right.
your place and can't remember afterwards. It sounds,
No,
yep.
no. They
I wasn't going to say that.
they did talk me into drinking one beer, though. It was a little one, a little glass. Because they made their own beer. They also made their own soft drinks.
At a brew works, who would have thought?
Yeah, that's what it was doing, though. And I tried one of their soft drinks, and I couldn't do that. So.
Was that root beer, Henry?
I was going to ask you if it was like root beer or birch beer or what'd you make?
It was a root beer.
It was the root beer.
And
How could you not drink a root beer?
It wasn't any good. I mean, I don't know why it tastes bad.
Well, it was probably all the lye overtones and, different pesticides that were added. Give it that edgy flavor there.
Sure, one know how many times we had dinner. We had lunch and dinner on Friday. That was it. And then on Saturday we had.
You realize lunch and dinner are 2 different meals, right? It's not like how many dinners you had. It's not like you're a hobbit.
Right. Well, she was wanting to know how many times we ate, kind of, so. But that's the way it was. And but we had a good time. I mean, I got to meet Don's wife. He brought her, and it was nice meeting her. Had a great time, and I understand she had a real good time too. So.
Yeah, that was her first ever investigation, and yeah, she really enjoyed it.
Well, we got a good group of people that comes out, and we don't do things hardcore, you might say. We just have a good time when we investigate. I mean, we do listen and use our recorders and things like that, but we aren't into it to where we're killing people or anything like that.
Is that something you often do at investigations, of which I've been previously unaware?
They do all kinds of things on investigations, man.
I mean, you're not supposed to, create your own ghosts. I'm just saying.
If you can't get activity, I mean, you got to do something.
Go somewhere, I guess.
Around the root beer.
Yeah, nice fresh ghosts.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Not the ones that expired.
Bring your own.
Surprisingly, I had my niece and her fiance come. First time they'd been on an investigation. They had a great time too, and I let them use a recorder, and they was going around doing things. I didn't get a lot from them. I did get 1 or 2 recordings that they did that should be able to hear when we play them after a while. I do have one thing though, and I caught it on their recorder, and I caught it on my recorder, and it was from outside. The one on the recorder they had was basically kind of like the same thing, but it sounded different. And I only caught it on just the 2 times that I was recording, because I'd record for 4 or 5 minutes and stop it and start recording again. Well, this only happened and lasted for maybe a minute and a half, and it stopped. I never heard it with my ears, only on the recorder, and I don't know what caused it. So if you want to put your headphones on, I'll play it and let you listen to it to see what it sounds like. And I got Mike here with us, and he might even be able to tell us what it is. So let me get these up here, and we'll see what it is. This one was from my recorder. I was outside, and I believe I was with Cat Gash and Carrie, and we was not far from the pub, from the brewery, just right out back and over to the left. So I'm going to play it. Put your headphones on and see if you can hear. You'll hear us talking, and then you start hearing something.
No, I'm not right.
It said barn, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a barn.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a barn.
Mm-hmm.
That's a barn.
Yeah, I agree.
Could you hear it thumping?
Yes. There was some thumping in there.
I have no idea what caused it. It only lasted about a minute and a half, and it stopped.
If it had been an analog cassette player, I would have thought it was just the real spit turning around.
No.
I'm just saying I'm saying if it were, it isn't. Obviously, it was a digital recorder. But had I, in the old days, if you had an old cassette player, sometimes those sprockets would get a little loose, and it would just like kind of wreck your recordings.
Well, if I'd heard it with my ears, it'd have been different. But there was nothing outside that I was hearing, other than just the three of us talking and I guess the night sounds. There was a lot of night sounds out there, but nothing to cause that. But my cousin thought the same thing on theirs, and I'll play it for you, even though it sounds different on this recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Take this real Oh, wow. We thought we were seeing things. Those are frogs.
Yeah.
Spring frogs.
Turn off your flashlight.
But it's still that same type of clacking type rhythm.
Yeah.
I have no idea what was causing that. And both times it was outside.
Those dang aliens. Dang UFOs and their aliens and all.
Have no idea.
Well, that one sounded more like
Henry, can you
radio.
send them to me and perhaps I can clean them up some?
Do what? I didn't hear you. What?
Send them the audio files.
Yes, I'll send those to you. Not
Great.
now. Do it after the show.
Right. No hurry.
It sounded, that second
Now,
one
what'd you
sounded
say?
more like it was outside radio interference.
Yeah.
But what kind of radio interference?
And it
We
could have
didn't
been
hear-
a police scanner radio or something. ELF waves or whatever.
Well, it could have been some kind of radio waves causing it, but at the same time, I didn't hear anything, so it couldn't have been coming from a radio.
Well, you wouldn't hear it. Yeah.
I don't recall seeing any type of towers nearby there. There's things they call phasing that can happen with towers, but I didn't see anything close that might cause that. But like I say, if once I get the recordings, I can analyze both of them and see what's really in there.
Okay, they said that they didn't hear it real good in the chat room. I'll turn my volume up a little bit to see if they can hear it a little bit better. And let's see here if that'll help. And I'll play mine one more time so they can hear it.
Here's the first one.
Yeah.
Just so this is the Battlefield Brewery, or which brewery was like three actually?
It's Gettysburg Battlefield Brewery, I believe is what.
Oh yeah, it is that one. Okay, cool.
No, I'm not right.
It said barn, I think, too.
Oh,
That's
a
where
barn.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a barn. That's a barn.
Yeah, they,
See, it's almost like a heart beating or something.
yeah, it's very regular.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So
Were they holding it? Were they holding it in their hand, or did they have it on a cord banging against their hip?
that was mine. I was holding it in my hand, and it wasn't
Oh.
against my chest, so it wouldn't have been picking up my heart beating.
Ah.
Didn't sound like a heartbeat.
No, I mean it's similar if you was actually listening with the stethoscope.
No, because a heartbeat is lub dub, lub dub, lub dub. This one is more, yeah.
Oh, is
this
it?
More like somebody is
Yeah.
just rhythmically flicking the mic.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know what
But
was
it
called.
definitely had a pattern
Oh.
to it. That's
Oh, yeah.
see, that's the interesting part. It had a pattern to it that repeated.
Right. It started out kind of slow and then got into a rhythm.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's why it's intriguing me.
yeah, I don't know, but so that was pretty interesting.
Can you play the other one now?
It was.
Yeah, I'll play the other one for you now too, so you can see what the difference of them, even though they're both kind of the rhythmic and static and stuff. So here we go.
I'm making mine, and I said, oh, wow. We thought we were seeing things. Those are frogs.
Yeah.
Spring frog. Turn off your flashlight.
See, that one's a little different, but
That
it's
is
still
the weirdest car horn I've ever heard. Oh wait, no. Those new Uber smart cars, I guess. Yeah. Get out of our way.
So I don't know what was causing it. It was just really weird when I was listening to it. So
Yeah, the first one almost sounded a bit like a snare drum, but the second one did not to me.
Yeah, I kept picturing it being a drum myself, even the second one, but not snare like you say. It could have been where they keep a march beat using the rim of the drum rather than the snare itself.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, yeah, the Civil War marching drums are a little deeper than like a modern snare.
Exactly.
You know, they're the rope drums, and yeah, they do have a little deeper sound.
Tammy in the chat room, because she was with us also, she wanted to know could that be a cell phone? And I don't know how a cell phone would be causing it to do that.
Oh, I could hear something.
Interruption
Yeah.
of the signal.
I can hear something like that at work when I have my speakers on and somebody's cell phone is pinging the tower.
Oh,
You can hear that same type of noise.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, when the tower addresses each cell phone, the cell phone answers back, and that possibly could be it.
okay.
Now, before we go any further, because I'm kind of curious, it was your first time going to that specific brewworks?
Yes.
I assume that everybody else has been there before?
I had not been there before.
I had not been there either. I've been to Gettysburg often, but that was my first stop
So,
there.
Kind
The
of
ol-
what's your first impressions of that place? Because I think that tells a lot too.
Yeah, I could definitely, looking at it, see the bones of the wartime structure, and I'm just really into the history of the Civil War, and I could, just imagine the scene, following the fighting with, all the wounded being brought there, and just, the people coming and going, and I just had a real sense of that, but I often get that pretty much anywhere in Gettysburg, where the fighting or the aftermath took place.
Don, what about you?
That was Don.
Sorry, I thought that was Mike.
No,
Yikes.
no, that was Don.
I'm the
You're
other
the
guy.
So what was your impression?
No, my impression of the place, I had a feeling there was a lot of spirits around. I was kind of hoping that, because I just started getting the ability to actually hear them personally, I was hoping that I would have a better chance at that, but that wasn't really happening. I just moved, so some of my equipment had been kind of misplaced. Of course, naturally you find it when you get back. I was hoping I would have had my RT EVP unit with me, but I did not. So like everyone else, I had to record stuff and play it back later and see if there was something on it. And I don't know how many of the EVPs I had sent Henry will be usable, but obviously there was at least one or two people who were really serious about trying to talk to me there. So I'm hoping something will come out of it, but I'd like to go back myself. I thought it rather interesting.
What kind of squawk box was you using?
Actually, what I was using was my HD cameras. I was using the audio tracks from the HD cameras. I was setting up cameras, hoping to catch something with them. I have some HD cameras I was using. I was also using a couple full spectrum cameras. And after I look at the videos, I go back and strip the audio and then play it to see what is on it. And that's where I was getting. So, and the interesting thing is that the two places that I was getting things seemed to be both in kind of cubbyhole type corners.
It was what?
Cubbyhole type corners. In other words, they were like areas that were off to the side. For instance, now, if you recall where our table was when we were eating dinner, the area directly behind you was one of the places where I was getting EVPs. Over near the window, the table's up near the window, that area there, the camera there was picking up audio. And over to the right of the stage area, which is like a cove area in back there, I was getting things up in there. And those are the two main areas I was getting stuff.
It's like they were trying to stay out of the way.
That's possible, and especially if it was used as a triage area for a hospital, even Confederate, those who you would think those who would be able to speak during the time of whatever was happening probably would have been mostly on the sidelines rather than in the center.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I know the one thing that you had, I guess you had it kind of like turned on the whole time. It kept calling Mike.
Yeah, we heard that.
Yes.
When we were investigating nearby. We heard that frequently.
Right. That was an Ovilus unit. In fact, I think it was the Ovilus 3 I was using at that time. And every time I got several different Oviluses. If I turn them on, if there's a spirit that knows of me, they will start calling me by name. I want to explain something too. I know there's people have different opinions about like the ghost boxes and Ovilus and stuff. I use the Ovilus in what they call phonetic mode, so it doesn't use the library, so it's not coming up with either random or non-random words. The words you hear actually are put together by the spirits. They have to assemble them because the only thing in the recorder is the phonetic sounds. And that recorder has 6 of them in it. There's actually 8 total to make our language, but it has 6 of them in there. So when it makes a word, they're actually assembling it by using the different sensors inside. So I just wanted to add that as a disclaimer. So when it's saying Mike, it's really looking for me. And I don't know if anyone else heard it, but the person who was looking for me also was looking for, and this may sound crazy, this is another place, a woman named Barbara, who they both reside at the building we use for testing in Maryland. And I think he had a feeling maybe I took her with me because he was asking if she was there.
Yeah, Tammy in the
Diane and I overheard Barbara as well.
Yeah, Tammy
exactly
said that. Said also called was calling Barb too. So
exactly, yes, yes, he was looking for Barbara. Thought I scooped her up and took her to the hotel with me.
Well,
I was all alone at night, I'm telling you guys.
The thing I like about that particular device is you don't hear it going, tat, 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 tat. It was just quiet until something was actually talking.
Exactly. That is a good thing about it. And I've actually built a few filters when I record, because I always record when I'm running that too. Built some filters that filters out everything except that unit. So when I can actually get a recording of just what the unit is saying, and there's no other noise or voices in the background that will interfere with what the obelisk is actually saying. So I managed to build a filter for that.
Well, that's pretty interesting, like that.
It is. It is. I thought it was interesting that he would have come all the way to Gettysburg to look for his woman. The really bad part about it, I don't want to get into all. I think one of my other shows we did, I kind of talked a little bit about it, but he once told me that the reason why he keeps looking for Barbara is because Barbara's supposedly in love with me.
Oh.
So this is an interesting threesome going.
Now, I didn't hear it, but did anybody say anything to you about being touched or anything like that? Hair pulled or cold spots or anything?
I didn't hear anything of that type. I don't know if anyone else did. I don't recall anyone mentioning that to me.
Yeah, I didn't hear anyone mention anything like that. However, from what I understand, one of the places there in the brew works that has activity is the women's bathroom.
Maybe that's where Barbara was.
I don't know. I know people went in there. I haven't heard anything, and I know my cousin and her fiance went in there. They had the recorder going. They didn't get anything. I don't think any EVPs from in there. So.
Yeah, Diane and I went in there too with the recorder, Henry, and we didn't have any luck either.
Yeah. But did you get a sense of anything being there?
I did get a sense. It just felt, that is one of the things I do sometimes feel energies, and I did feel that there, but we didn't get any tangible evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think was the most interesting place about the brew works? Besides it being Confederate Civil War hospital, was there any particular area in the building that felt more presence of spirits than other places in the building?
Yeah. Actually, where I felt the most presence was across the road at the old well.
Yeah.
And that just, I felt drawn to that, and there were several of us down there, and actually I tried something, and I think perhaps it was your niece's fiance was taking the photos, Henry, but I started calling out states of Confederate units that would have fought at Culp's Hill, and the wounded might have been brought there. And while I was doing that, he was taking photos. And when I said North Carolina, we got a very clear orb right above the well. That was the only orb on any of his photos there. I found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, he did show me that. Which was, now the well was across the street. Is that correct?
Yes, just I'm thinking maybe 50 feet off the road, not very far.
Right. That's where, I guess, remember the battle was in the summertime, and it was July 1st through the 3rd, I believe. It was very hot, men being wounded. They wanted to go to the well to get something to drink. So there was a lot of the soldiers that was at that well, and that's still the original well from the time of the battle.
Yeah, and as I understand, the blood loss that the soldiers suffered would make them intensely thirsty. Of course, that would be, like you say, even made worse by the heat and the humidity of the day, but the wounded were just intensely thirsty, just begging for water.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so, that is where I felt the most energy was right around the well. I was kind of slow to leave because I really felt it.
And it's still an active well?
As far as I know, it appears to be. We didn't try it out.
I don't know if they have any covering over the well. How tall is the well up off the ground?
Oh, it's maybe 3 feet. I mean, it's what you would picture of an 1860s well, you know, a low stone circle, and it had a small roof over it.
Mm. Was there a bucket there with a rope that you could drop down into the well?
To be, it was rather dark, and it was kind of hard to tell, and I was, I guess, more focused on actually the proximity in the area around the well as much as the well itself. I'd like to go back in the daylight now next time I'm there and get a closer look.
Well, now, you did some other things. The reason that you come to Gettysburg a little early because you had some events going on, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's why I wasn't able to join up with you guys until, you know, towards supper on Friday and then a little later Saturday. But yeah, I was there to do some events in connection with my book. I Met a Ghost at Gettysburg.
That's doing rather well, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been just thrilled. I know we've talked before, but I had never even thought of doing anything in the paranormal field until some of my experiences in my house that we're restoring, and then there at Gettysburg, and I'm very glad I did it. I have learned a lot about the paranormal field. I'm working on a follow-up right now to the book.
You'll have to let me know when that one.
I was just going to say that ought to be really interesting, the follow-up book.
And actually, some of what happened, you know, last month and then the trip the year before was kind of an eye-opener for me. And I have some things from that trip that'll be in the book as well.
And just to let people know, where was that at?
Happened to be at Gettysburg.
Yes. And it was at the hotel. What was the name of that hotel? Now,
the one that Diane and I stayed at, or
did you guys stay there? You didn't? No, I was talking about the one where we did the
the Fairfield Inn.
Fairfield Inn, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't stay there, but boy, that was an incredible investigation.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one too.
Yeah. My problem is this, and I'm not saying anything against anybody, but there was a lot of people there who are sensitives or mediums, and they could see spirits and I guess kind of like sense them and communicate with them. And I'm just sitting there scratching my head. I don't see anything. I don't feel anything. And they're saying, well, they're right there. I don't see anything. I don't feel anything.
But it's not like you haven't not ever seen anything.
Well, but
you didn't drink enough root beer, Henry.
What it was. Yeah. But usually, unless I catch something on the recorder, it's just, I don't I don't sense it. I mean, sometimes I might be able to sense that there's something here that there's not, but I don't see anything or anything like that. Not that I want to start seeing something.
At least not with anyone between you and the door.
That's it. Yes.
Henry has made it abundantly clear if he ever saw a full body apparition walking towards him, it's oh, my muffins, and off he goes. Pretty sure I left the oven on. Gotta
go. Oh my.
But we have a great bunch of people. I mean, everybody that comes to be with us, we just have a great time. Lots of fun. I think what we'll do is take a quick 2 or 3 commercial break. Won't be real long. And then I'm going to let Jeff take us out, and I'll bring us back. So, Jeff?
Yes, well, you're listening to the Paranormal View on para-x.com with host Henry Foister, ceiling cat Barbara Duncan, and myself, Jeffrey Gould, going over Henry's evidence and such from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania back in April. So stay tuned for more of the Paranormal View after the break.
Whether you're listening at home, at work, or anywhere, thanks for making Para-X part of your day. Your source for everything paranormal, Para-X.
And welcome back, everybody, right here to the Paranormal View on the Para-X Radio Network. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. And those listening from around the world, we appreciate each and every one of you. And speaking of those from around the world, Barbara, where do we have listeners at tonight?
They're from all over the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia.
All right. And we have some good friends that listens a lot from Australia, don't we?
Hey, Jeff Dean.
Yep. Dean's one of them. So a lot of times he'll send questions via the
Facebook.
No.
He does to me.
It comes over our website.
Oh.
Our gmail.com site. So, but tonight we got with us Jeffrey Gould.
Hello.
And Barbara Duncan. And we have with us Herman, also known as Mike Stevenson.
Howdy, howdy again.
Yeah, and we got Don Allison.
Hello.
All right. I'm sure that probably be about another 20 minutes probably before we get Steve on. And we was talking about some of the different EVPs. Sometimes I know Mike does it, and I know Steve does it. You get EVPs, and it's, in a sense, it's hard to hear, and then you guys try and clean them up, and sometimes by doing that, it's still hard to hear. And it makes it, even if you try to play them over the air, it still makes them a little harder to hear. However, also for dessert said, did you catch the giraffe race? No, I didn't see the giraffe race. But we some of the ones we got, and one of them because you can hear it where Mike, it was calling Mike's name a lot. And you'll hear it on here. And I don't know if this is one that you sent me or it's one that Steve sent me.
And this is from where?
But this is from the Gettysburg Brew Works. And this one just calls out Mike. You'll hear it over the Ovilus. So put your headphones on. I got it turned up here, and see if you can hear this thing actually calling Mike's name. So here we go. Now, it had been enhanced, I guess because it was pretty low, but you could still hear Mike right in there. I'll play it for you one more time. If you could hear it, you can let me know in the chat room. Could you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear it.
I could hear it a little bit, but of course, if it was repeating the word Mike, then it would sound more like it was calling out his name. But if you just say Mike, it could be short for microphone.
It could be short for microphone, huh?
Never know. I'd call it a Mike.
Yeah. Well, they used to call me Mr. Mike, so maybe that was me also.
There you go.
Let's try this mic and see if this one here is a little bit louder, because I have two of them here listed as Mike. So listen close for this one too. Could you hear that?
That was a bit clearer, yeah.
Yeah, that
was a bit clearer.
definitely.
And it was interesting because it sounded a little whispery.
Yeah. And that wasn't over the Ovilus, I don't think, unless it was over the Ovilus and somebody with a recorder like Steve picked it up.
Yeah.
Did you see
it just needed to add, Mike, is this thing on?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ovilus is very distinctive in its sound. So if it sounded non-robotic, then it was something calling me out other than the Ovilus.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to go in the back alley with a ghost calling you out.
I've had that happen before, but that's that's a different story.
I thought that was pretty good. Yeah. The only things that I recorded was that clacking noise. I didn't get anything else other than something that I got from off the recorder that my cousin that I let use. And you'll have to put your headphones on and turn your volume up, even though I enhanced the sound of what this thing says. It still might be hard to hear, but I hope everybody will be able to hear it. Again, they were, I assume, outside. I'm not sure exactly whether they were at the well or outside somewhere, and they was asking a question. I will play it for you. I got it on here somewhere. Okay, here it is. And turn your sound up and see if you can hear this one. Let me know if you can hear it. So you just have to kind of listen a little close.
Is anyone with us?
It's real quick, and it's right after it gets kind of loud. Listen real close again and see if you can pick it out.
Is anyone with us?
Could any one of you guys hear that?
I heard it.
Yeah, it didn't sound like a word, though.
I got two words out of it. I'm not sure what they were at this point, but there was definitely two words said there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't understand it either, but it sounded like it might have been 2 words.
It's 2 words.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what it
Right.
says. It says, I'm here. Because the question was, is anybody here? And it picks this saying, I'm here.
Yeah.
So I'll play it
That's
again.
a very good catch.
I'll play it again for you and see if you hear it. Just turn your sound up. I won't turn mine up so loud and see if it works better.
Is anyone with us?
Yeah, it sounded much clearer that time.
Yeah.
It was real quick. Just, I'm here.
Yes. Yeah, definitely there.
So
Good catch.
I thought that was pretty interesting. That's something that you could actually hear. It's pretty interesting. So.
Well, the good thing about it too is that the response you got coincides with the question at hand. It adds more validity to it.
Right, because they was asking a question and it was answered.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I was impressed with how quickly the answer came. My experience with a ghost box or EVPs is usually there's a bit more of a time lapse before you get the answer, but that seemed immediate.
Yep, it was pretty quick. Yeah, didn't take. Yeah. So what was your overall feelings of the Gettysburg Brew Works?
I found the history of it to be fascinating, and I tend to tune into history, and I really could get a sense of what happened there.
Is it a place that you would want to go back to investigate, or just to visit for the history?
Both, actually.
Now, I know Mike was using, was that an infrared camera you was using?
I had several infrared cameras and several full spectrum cameras running, yes.
And
I also had a flare unit there.
Maybe it was a flare unit. You caught, because there was a stage where we was sitting and having dinner to our right, over toward where the restrooms were, was like a little stage. And there was a bunch of tables and chairs sitting over there. You took a picture and picked up, after you cleared it up, bodies of people sitting in those chairs.
Oh, yes. It was quite a few. A lot more than was even in our group. And most of our group, I mean, there was only maybe 2 or 3 of us in that building area at the time I snapped that shot, and there was no one in the area that I snapped the shot. So every body that showed up in that flare picture, that heat sensitive picture, was not any of us, and it looked as if it was business as usual, so to speak. There was all kinds of people sitting at tables and chairs there.
It was just like looking at a shadow, though. You couldn't make out what they looked like or anything like that. Now, in your opinion,
could you tell the type of clothing?
There were 2 people that were closest to me at the table, and they seemed to be looking right at me. And I couldn't really tell for certain the type of clothing they were wearing, but it seemed to be 2 women, but they may have been wearing period dress. When I say period dress, I'm talking about, the 1800 style, because the outfits they seemed to have on did be kind of full looking. But what was really interesting was, and I'm not certain about this, but just prior to the show, I happened to look at the picture again myself, and they seem to be wearing something, I'm going to call it a party hat. But, considering the fact that this had been a Confederate hospital, they may very well have been wearing nurses' hats. They may have been nurses. I'm not certain. But, you know, that thought came to mind just prior to the show because of how the two closest to me, I mean, they were close enough. If you look at the picture, there'll be the two people that is to the left on the picture. And they were rather close. They were no further than 6 to 8 feet away from me.
Now, I'm sure that when it was the Confederate hospital, there wouldn't have been tables and chairs there. So would that be maybe spirits that are still hanging around and sitting in the chairs anyway? Like that they know that there's people there watching them? And
could have been. Yeah, it very well could have been. It could have been a previous time, a time in the past. You know, it's hard to see even how recent it could have been yesterday. It could have been last year or 10 years ago. I'm not certain. Unfortunately, you know, there's no way of dating that. It was something obviously in the past because the present, the people weren't there. Well, maybe they were there, but otherwise the flare wouldn't have been picking it up. So it could be people from the past who enjoyed coming there. I don't know how long the brewery had been open for business, but who knows? People do collect in places they enjoy being, and they could very well have been former customers there.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. You never know for certain when you're doing an investigation, either for your audio or video or photographs per se. What period you're going to end up getting? Naturally, if there's a traumatic thing that happens, you're going to get more of that, most likely. But there's nothing saying that you won't get something else between now and then.
You know what I wish that existed now would be something along the lines of a centometer, where you could pick up and record the various scents from there, because I'm sure there would be tobacco smoke, obviously, but at that time, I think women would be heavily into rosewater and lavender
Yes.
to be able to pick any of that
Yes.
up.
There have been investigations I've been on where that odor was lingering in the air, but that don't always happen. So, yeah, I agree. It would be interesting if we had a way of doing that.
Yeah, that would be great. That's something we get in our historic home fairly often, is the scent of tobacco smoke, pipe smoke, and also of an old-fashioned lady's fragrance, very flowery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to call in Steve because he's now in the chat room. However, I don't see.
Steve.
It's got your phone set up with the telemarketers list. And
are you here now with us? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
What? Yeah, he's here.
oh, there you go.
Oh. See, it does.
Steve, are you here?
I am here.
Woohoo!
All right.
Hold on. Let me check here. Let me check my. Yes, it's me.
Oh.
All right.
Is that Mike?
Steve is here in body and soul.
Yeah.
Is that Mike? Hi, Mike.
We got Mike and we got Don Allison with us.
I see.
Well, hello there.
And we
I
got
see Jeff's here.
Jeff and Barbara.
I see Barbara Duncan's here.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's the end of Romper Room.
I know.
I see Susie and Billy.
I see Miss Nancy somewhere.
We've been just talking about the Battlefield Brew Works and some of the different things. I played a few of the EVPs that we've gotten, some from Mike and one or two from myself. I haven't played any of yours yet because I was waiting for you to get on.
Okay.
But I'm sure Barbara's going to have a bunch of questions for you too. What did you think of the Battlefield Brew Works?
Well, now keep in mind now that when I got there, I was desperately ill.
Yeah.
I was fighting off, some horrible whatever it was, and it something that lasted about 2 months. So I wasn't really feeling anything. I didn't feel the presence of anyone there. Now we went outside. I felt that there was something there. And I didn't. Normally, I'm not an orb person. I don't put a lot of weight in orbs, and I tend to discount them because you really can't prove that they're anything.
I don't think they weigh that much as it is.
Well, that's true. They don't. Unless you boil them in water, then they tend to get fatter. And,
exactly. There you go.
Anyway, I took a series of photographs into this one particular area. And the same pattern of orbs, three, like a triangular shape, showed up in every photograph. There were like 6 photographs I took, one right after the other. Then a few minutes later, I took a few more, and they were still there. They remained stationary. You don't do that if it's dust or a bug.
Alien, huh?
They were just, I can't say what they were, but it was something to take notice of. Oh, this is weird. Now, inside the brewery, again, I didn't feel the presence of anything, but the EVPs that I got, when I got home, I was listening to them. There was a lot of whispering going on all around me, behind me. And I was very aware of the folks that were sitting at the tables where you were across the room. I would not have picked up your whispering. The folks that were sitting to my left at a different table were not talking at all, so it wasn't coming from that direction, but it sounded like folks that were whispering amongst themselves. They weren't intercommunicating with any human or any live person in the room, but they were rather communicating amongst themselves, like, look at that, did you see that? They just got up and walked. And then conversations like that. But you couldn't make out what they were saying.
When was that Mike? Was you saying that you felt a presence over in the corner, or was that Don?
No, I had said that myself. Yeah, there definitely was a presence over in that corner, and that was directly behind where both you and Steve were. Yeah, definitely, there was a presence over there, and I wish that the EVPs I sent you were a lot more legible, because one in particular that I recorded from directly behind there was one that said, "Hey, you." They were trying to get my attention. And I'm sorry that you weren't able to pull it out enough to play it, but yeah, that came from directly behind that area there.
Now, what was the ambient background noise? Was there any sort of like the equivalent of a white noise going on there? I mean, it's a brewery. Did it stop production at the time, or was there a constant noise?
There was a constant. They had a fan up above where the tables were at, close to where we eat dinner at. And they had a banner going across, and these fans kept making that thing ruffle and flap. So you was picking that up constantly.
Well, yeah, but understand now, Barbara, and you're aware of this. I spent a lot of years in radio production. And I have the software. What I do on my EVPs is I go in and filter out. I take a sample of the EVP where no one's talking, there are no voices whatsoever, take a sample of that background noise, and then remove that from the entire file.
Yeah. You know what?
So
you
that
know what I'm bringing up, which is that white noise tends to be a carrier, or what they think is a carrier for EVPs. And whether or not you think that enhanced the activity and the ability to get an EVP there.
I don't know if white noise is a carrier or not, and I don't think they know. I think there's a lot of people out there that are making assumptions. A sound file is a sound file. A frequency is a frequency. And if the white noise helps them make their voices known, if it helps carry it, still in between those words that they're speaking, you can still sample that white noise or background noise and remove it, and their voices remain. It's just you can hear them better.
Right.
I have to say, Stephen, by the way, this is I didn't notice this before, but I one of the promos you have for our show, when you say that it starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, you say Easterin with an extra syllable, and I thought, oh, well, that just slipped through and he didn't notice. But earlier tonight, I heard you say Patterin, so I'm wondering what aspect of an accent causes that.
The one that drives Californians crazy.
Well, also New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey and the Eastern Coast, and I've never heard that. I mean, Henry comes up with, he just takes syllables and mashes them together into new words that just would baffle everyone else. We're like, wait, what? But this is something I've never come across.
Eastern.
Eastern, yeah. That's an Eastern island or something. I don't know. But there's no third syllable in Eastern or pattern.
That's Philadelphia.
The word is
that's Philadelphia.
Eastern, Eastern.
Right, but in the promo you say it's Eastern. And earlier during this broadcast, when I heard you say Patterin, I thought, oh, that's now we're talking.
That's a Delaware County thing. You know, sometimes when you move back from.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You start to pick up. Yeah, everybody in Delaware County says things like Acme, but it's the store's Acme, not Acme. That's called a regionalism.
Yeah. But it's a regionalism pronunciation. Usually a regionalism is a choice of a word where some people will say soda.
Pronunciation and not pronunciation.
Because the word is pronunciation. And it's spelled that way. It's not spelled pronunciation. But like it's some regions will say soda. Others will say pop. Others will say soda pop. In Boston, I know that they say tonic for Pepsi and Coke.
Which is inaccurate, but in New Mexico, they say Coke.
Exactly. Yeah.
No matter what flavor the soda is, no matter what flavor the soda is, they call it Coke.
Well, that's like Kleenex. You know, you don't say, may I have a tissue? You say, may I have a Kleenex?
Well,
and the same with, when you say, I'd like a Coke, you're essentially saying, I'd like a Coke or a Pepsi. You want that kind of
and
level
in
soda.
England, they pronounce it aluminium. It really doesn't matter.
We
saying
love that.
Saying Kleenex is a programming thing through advertising. Yes. We have been subliminally programmed to say Kleenex because it's a trademark, not an item.
Exactly. Well, the same with Google, which is, you know, most people, instead of saying, you know, do a search, you say Google it. Because, you know, it's like the most known search engine.
Right.
Even though DuckDuckGo at least doesn't track your searches.
So bringing it back to the paranormal,
use DuckDuckGo.
Couldn't you say
I mean, Sylvester Stallone is from Philadelphia, and the man makes $12 million a movie speaking using only vowels.
Pretty much, yeah. And, you know,
and bringing it back to the paranormal here, couldn't you say that it would be very easy to label and discertain which era these spirits are coming from due to the dialect?
That's true. That's very true. Yes.
Certain words for certain things.
Not necessarily by pronunciation. Now I'm going to start carefully analyzing every word before it proceeds from my mouth. I don't think pronunciation rather than colloquialisms.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You know, like if you heard someone say, so-and-so will not be present tonight, she's with fever. Well, we say they're sick, but someone from England would say, well, she's with fever.
Right.
That may be able to geographically localize them, but personally, now I'm not saying that it's not possible, but personally, I have not had enough EVPs with that variance to be able to determine the era in which they're from.
A good example of how EVPs can give a clue, this is one that happened to my wife and I at Gettysburg. We happened to be at a site on the first day's field that was held by a German regiment, the 107th Ohio. They were treated quite badly because they were Germans. They were overrun, but they were able to maintain order. They held East Cemetery Hill the second day, were overrun, and they were bad-mouthed. Their colonel was placed under arrest, later acquitted. But my wife is asking, were you proud of your heritage? She said, I'm German. Were you proud of your heritage? And we got a clear "ja" on the recorder. Didn't hear it with our ears, but to me that was very telling. That was the best EVP that I've ever gotten.
Well, they were either German or Minnesotan.
Yeah, that could be too.
One of the things that I try and explain to groups or get the point across is that if we are in Gettysburg, in all probability, we're dealing with those that were in the Gettysburg battle and thereabouts within a certain time frame. If we're in Valley Forge, Revolutionary War. There were certain uses of words or meanings of words that differ from our meaning today, and there were some that were the same, and some that were not offensive but scary. So when you're an investigator and you're going out there saying, I want to capture this, that may be the scariest word they've heard all night. Capture means putting behind bars or prison, entrapped. So you want to avoid using words
prisoner
like
of war,
catch or hunt.
Yeah, that's like you don't want to just say that a movie is a bomb when you're in an airport.
Exactly. One of the examples, we were doing an investigation at Fort Mifflin in Philadelphia. And I went into casemate 3, and I was taking pictures, flashing the camera, and I felt that there was someone there. And I said, in your era, in your time, you had a gentleman named Matthew Brady. Everybody in the Civil War knew Matthew Brady. He would have this large box and a black veil over his back, and he would take what turned out to be photographs.
Pretty sure they knew the word camera, too.
Possibly, or photographic box, or whatever they called it. But the point that I made was that this little device that I'm holding in my hand, the technology has changed, it's improved, but fundamentally it's the same. I'm taking photographs. Would you, and flash, 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 nothing, nothing, nothing. Would you allow me to take your photograph? And I clicked the button to flash, and there was a huge, what looked like somebody had blown a plume of cigar smoke directly in front of us that formed into what looked like an 1840s mountain man with a beaver skin cap and a long beard and mustache.
Nice.
Well, my next question for that would be, if they are any sort of matter or energy, how is it that you need their permission for it to show up on a camera?
The probability is, of course, consent may be more of an abstract concept than we realize.
Look at it logically. CC, it's, again, this is my opinion, but when they cross over and they're, for whatever reason, trapped on the earthly plane, I think, and again, this is my opinion, I think that they're told, look, there's going to be a lot of people that may or may not see you. You cannot, must not, allow yourselves to be seen by them, photographed in an indisputable, scientifically provable method, or this is going to happen to you for all eternity. Yeah. And this is the reason of why when we go into buildings or cemeteries, you often see these black silhouettes or spirits or glimpses ducking behind mausoleums or ducking behind tombstones or trees, hiding from us. They can't be seen by us. So when
it's almost, oh, sorry, go ahead.
When you ask permission, they may give you a glimpse, but still you're looking at smoke. Everybody that's a doubter is going to look at that photograph and say, yeah, it looks like a cloud. So what? You can't prove it.
But it's interesting because it's almost like you're implying that shadow people are redacted ghosts.
They may be. Do we have any proof otherwise?
I don't know. Yeah, that would be. Yeah.
Now,
Do they say tomato or tomato?
Exactly. It was better than tomato in, I guess.
I'd just be juice. Now, you was sitting over there in the far corner. I couldn't tell if you was sleeping or just feeling sick.
Oh, nice.
But
I wasn't sleeping. I was trying to relax, trying to rest. I have my the digital recorder that I use is an Olympus 4100 PC. I've had it for years and years and years, and even having other digital recorders right next to it running the same EVP session, I pick up things on the Olympus that the Sonys do not get.
Right.
So I use that one all the time, and I happen to have it set on Vox, which is voice activated.
Okay. But it's also those usually aren't filtered as much, so it picks up more.
Probably, but I mean, yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't know the inside workings and the technology of these digital recorders, but when I find something that works particularly well, I use that more. I have a rather inexpensive digital camera. It's an HP camera that I get more photographs with than I do a Nikon 3400.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I was sitting with Tammy. We was like about halfway over toward where the stage was at.
Mm-hmm.
And you was over in the corner. I was sitting there, had my recorder going. I heard something. You also caught it, but you didn't hear it till I said something to you. And I'm going to play what was on your recorder, and then I'll play the same thing that I caught on my recorder.
Okay.
So turn up your sound if you need to be able to hear it, and it might be a little loud on his. So here we go with this. This is what you caught. Now, I'll play the same thing that was on my recorder when I told you about it. Let's see, here it is. Just a quick bang.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was the bang.
Yeah. And that's the same thing that you caught, right?
Right.
Okay, that's what it was. I don't know where it come from, what happened, but it sounded like it come from over in the corner where you was at.
Yeah, I couldn't tell the direction of the sound. But then again, I'm dealing with mono, not stereo. So I really can't tell direction of sound. But had I heard it audibly, had it been a sound that I heard with my own ears, I may have been able to tell the direction. So I'll have to go with, whatever you thought.
Well,
I know the loud bang.
I did hear it audibly. That was the whole point, and that's why I knew what direction it come from. It sounded like it was over in the corner where you was at.
Okay. That's weird that I didn't hear it.
You sent me also some other ones that you got. And I don't know if this one come from you or if it come from Mike, but it's labeled PST Tammy Hear Me. And
that was mine. It was Tammy Hear Me.
All right. I'm going to play that, so see if people can hear it. And here we go with it. And it's just real quick. Psst, Tammy, hear me.
I heard that clearly, even when you just played it.
Good. Could you guys hear it here with us?
Yeah, I could hear it.
And if you heard it in the chat room, let us know that you was able to hear it there. Okay. So that was pretty interesting that you caught something like that. Whereas I wasn't catching too much on my recorder on the inside.
Now the EVP that says blanking, Tammy, that's an expletive.
Yeah, and you fairly well hear it too. So I'm going to play that one next because I told Tammy that you'd sent me a couple that had her. She didn't even realize it. So keep your headphones on and we'll listen to this one here. It's Blankin' Tammy. That's the way he's got it listed.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Like someone was fluttering a piece of paper.
I would, or Jeff, are you serious?
Not normally, but
it's a Class A that says Tammy, but it's a whisper. Play it again. Play it again.
I'm going to play it again. So see if you can hear that.
Yeah, it was very augmented to the point that it doesn't sound like words in my ears.
Well, it's not augmented. It's just the fan sound was removed from the file.
Ah.
The file was not augmented at all.
I mean the voice sounded tinny enough that it sounded like it still, in my particular ears, sounds like a piece of paper. I don't have a piece of paper to flutter to show how it sounds.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me get a piece of paper here and let me up. Where's never find paper when you need. All right, let me see here. That's the paper. Freaking Tammy. Yeah, you're right. They sound the same.
Okay, now that was your voice. So that wasn't the recording. That's like the show Fact or Faked, where they say, okay, we were able to replicate this video, so therefore we debunked it. And that's not what you did at all. You got
to understand that the whole reason I started doing EVPs and investigations again was because having been in radio, I can duplicate any EVP that's on any show out there. So I needed to go out myself and find out if this stuff was really happening. The only thing that I can say is my guarantee that these are on the digital recording, and you can actually do a reading of the frequency and hear the echo, or the reverb in a true Class A EVP, which proves that it's coming from another dimension. That cannot be duplicated.
Cool.
Now, you sent me. Actually, I think this one come from Mike. You sent one that said Hank. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. There was one I sent you that said Hank. It was kind of low. I don't know if you were able to pick it up or not, but
I'll play.
It was in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, go ahead and try and play it. See if they can pick that out of there.
I'll try it, and we'll see if people can hear it. So it's like off in distance almost.
Right. Yes.
Something.
Play it again. It does not sound like Hank, but it's definitely a male voice. Try it again.
All right.
Honk.
A burner love. Oh, wait.
No, not hunk.
Oh.
Honk.
Well, we got Hunk and we got Tammy, so...
Listen. Honk, a German pronunciation possibly of Hank?
Could have been.
That's possible.
Bit of a stretch, but okay.
Well, it definitely honk. As a honk. Come here, honk. Very interesting, but stupid.
All right.
That's what I picked up on it. Now, Jeff, you got to understand that if you do investigations, many times you'll listen to an EVP, a Class A EVP, that will say one thing to one person, yet another word to someone else.
Right.
Exactly. Oh, I know that.
That's very
And
true.
EVPs may say one thing today, and you replay it tomorrow, and it's something completely different.
Well, the one EVP that I ever actually came across after hours of going through was an EVP I got on the Queen Mary, and I posted it on YouTube. And it's you can actually hear someone saying on this side when there's no echo effect, while the investigator who's speaking does. You can hear the investigator, she's speaking, and you can hear like the voice kind of just enough of a reverb to know that she's in an enclosed space. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this very clear, like it would have been 80 yard in, saying on this side. I was like, wait, what? And I played it back several times. I'm like, I think I finally got one.
I played that when you posted it, and it sounded like paper rattling. I'm kidding.
I laughed.
I don't know if you were on in the chat room a week ago or 2 weeks ago when I had a little part that I had pre-recorded about an investigation that I did at the Oakwood Cemetery in Atlanta, Georgia, which was put there, I guess, opened, if you will, in 1850. And there was one point where I felt someone tug at my jacket, and I looked down and I said, "Did someone just tug on my jacket?" When you listen to the EVP, you can hear just before I say that, you can hear a child's voice go, "Excuse me," and then I say, "Did somebody just tug on my jacket?" That was a cool EVP.
Well, at least he was polite, and it wasn't like, "Get out of my way, tall person."
Yeah.
Hey, I got one.
Back when kids had manners.
I think this one comes from Mike, where it just said "Hey." Was that you?
Yeah. There's one. It actually says "Hey" to it. It says "Hey" and then it says "Hey you," but the "you" is very low.
Okay. So, but you can't hear the "Hey." So
I have one of those.
Yeah, you can definitely hear the "Hey."
Okay. You're what? 100 what?
One of those too. It says, "Hey, give them mine."
Yes, that one too. So let's listen to Mike's first, and then we'll listen to yours.
Okay.
Now the first. The first "Hey" was real clear.
Yes.
And then you could hear real faintly the "Hey you" kind of. So,
exactly. Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. Did you guys were you guys able to hear it, Barbara and Jeff? Nobody?
Yeah,
It's
I could
faint,
hear
but
it.
yeah, it's there.
Where were you at when you got that, Mike?
I was over in the corner behind where we had dinner, almost directly behind where Henry was sitting.
Okay.
And I was actually setting up one of my infrared cameras at that point, and I had just finished actually adjusting it, because prior to that, you'll hear sounds of the camera moving back and forth. And as soon as I stopped moving it is when the "Hey" comes through.
All right, I'll play that for you one more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did it say "Hey" again right toward the end?
It did.
Yes. Yeah, the first was a "Hey" and then a "Hey you."
And then a "Hey." There was another "Hey."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
could have been James Brown. Hey!
All right, you got this one here called Hey, Give Him Mine.
Right.
So let's listen to this one. Everybody got their sound still turned up.
Yep.
Now,
I heard him pass the paper.
yeah, I heard the paper.
When you play it, it immediately says "Hey," because I might have clipped the
Right.
the front and the back of that EVP off, but it immediately says "Hey," and then give him mine. Listen to it again.
All right, turn your sound up in. Okay. The "Give Him Mine" sounded like the paper, but you could
You can definitely hear the hey, yes.
and you hear the "Hey" to begin with.
Yes, that's true. You do. The hey sounds pretty clear.
So did you get that one, Barbara?
The hay part, yeah. Very good.
Okay. Well, the other that sounds like paper is "Giving."
But there was no paper there.
It's
That's
just some
what I'm saying.
interesting
There was-
distortion that is occurring, and I'm not sure whether it's your recorder or removing that ambient noise that creates this different type of sound. Now, that may be an artifact of an EVP. It's interesting. It's an interesting bit of data to figure out when you remove all the background stuff, how it sounds. And maybe that's how they sound to each other. I don't know. But it's fascinating, nonetheless.
One thing that I've learned about the EVPs is that they actually are sending each word separately. They're not sending the whole sentence or group of words that you hear in all one burst. It's actually set multiple bursts. And in some cases where it's a longer word, they actually have to separate the syllables of the word. And at times, each section can be a slightly different speed and other factors involved. So sometimes, like you said, now the second words may not have sounded as clear. Possibly, Steve, if you put some of the white noise back in for that portion, it may bring that part back out because there is differences between each word, and we don't always pick this up. We take an EVP, we'll filter out stuff, and quite often, sometimes you'll be damaging one word where you'll be enhancing another. So that's where I've learned that you really sometimes actually have to pull it apart to put it back together.
Okay.
I still have the original recording files that have been untouched. What I sent Henry were those that were enhanced, but I usually compare it in Audacity one against the other. I have had EVPs, not recently, but I have had EVPs where it just sounds like a bee flying by. And if you slow it down, like taking it from 78 RPM to 33 1/3, it's a very clear sentence.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I think we've all gotten past the point where we realize they're not using their vocal cords to talk to us. There has to be another method that they're using for communication. Yes. And obviously, it could very well be mental thought because thought is electrical. So, yeah.
Yes.
Nobody really knows. I mean, they could be manipulating air to formulate words, which is why it sounds like a whisper.
Could be.
Although I have heard audible vocal EVPs, and that may or may not be some other type of entity, or maybe not a human spirit. I don't know. Nobody does. One of the interesting I sent you, Henry, because Mike's Ovulus kept going off.
Right.
Mike. I wanted to throw something at it, Mike. So what I did was I got a recording of Mike's Ovulus saying Mike, but then I got an EVP of Mike, and I sent you both of them so you could demonstrate the difference.
I'll play both up again. I played them both earlier, but I'll play them both again now since you're here.
Okay.
The first one is Mike coming over the Ovulus, and you'll be able to hear it. So listen close. Now that's picked up from a little distance, but you could hear it saying Mike, and that was from the Ovulus. I'll play it again for you. And it was doing that quite a bit.
Yes.
So then I'll take and play the one that you caught. I guess this was on the recorder picking up the Ovulus, or just the word Mike.
No, the word Mike was an EVP. It was not the Ovulus.
Wasn't the Ovulus. All right.
Right.
This in here is the EVP. And that was kind of like almost a throaty whisper type Mike type thing.
Yeah, that sounds definitely more like a human voice, distinctly to me.
So I will.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as I mentioned before, the Ovulus has a very distinct sound. Of course, they can be adjusted. In fact, some of the newer ones even can duplicate close to a human voice. But for the most part, and it's why I've always kept the Ovulus on this computerized type voice, is so I can make certain that what I'm hearing is the Ovulus when I want to know it's the Ovulus, and whether or not it is an EVP coming through. So for that reason, I've always kept the Ovulus with that computer-type voice, I'll call it, that was originally designed with it, with the very first model.
That makes complete sense.
Okay,
to be able to keep them separately like that. Good.
Yes, yes.
All right, I'll play this mic again that was caught on the recorder. It wasn't the Ovulus. Mike.
Yeah.
Pretty clear. I'm gonna press play here on my Sony sound for it. Just let me know if you can all hear this.
Okay.
Did you hear anything?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because is it? Give me a sec here. Yeah, this is on a loop.
So what did it say?
I had to put that on a loop. It's either saying give him mine or get in line.
Okay, that was hey, give him mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I put the give him mine or get in line because I'm not sure exactly what it's saying, but it's definitely words being enunciated.
You were cutting line, wasn't you?
That may be.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve, that it is definitely words. Unfortunately, and it may just be how I'm hearing it at this end, but I wasn't able to distinguish exactly what was being said. But I definitely do agree by what I was getting that it definitely was words. And I've heard, like you, I've heard enough EVPs that I can tell when something is words and something's just noise.
You just
so I definitely did hear words, but I don't know what they were.
Now, I got another one. I believe that it come from Steve. You got it listed as ring those firemen.
Well, no, I heard a ring, like a bell.
Oh, okay.
Hear a ring, and then something about firemen.
I thought it sounded more like bring the firemen.
That could be, but I thought I heard a bell.
Well, let's play it and see what everybody else may hear.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I did not hear a bell. I thought I did, but as they're saying, looks like it says ring up, or bring up the firemen.
Right.
Maybe it was a bachelorette party.
That could be. Jeff's mind always goes to Cosmopolitan.
Yeah. It could have been somebody cooking too. Bring the firemen. They're burning the steaks.
My wife wasn't there.
So, were you able to hear that, Barbara?
Yeah, I'm just trying to put it in context of the time. I'm not sure. Did they have firemen? Okay.
Oh, sure they did.
Right.
They started that with bucket brigades back as far as the
Okay.
Revolutionary War and before.
Right.
Right.
Would they have been called firemen?
In the 1850s and 60s, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They did not appear on calendars, however.
Oh.
And that's, too bad.
Now, I played something earlier before you come on, Steve. Something that I caught. Did you go outside and do any recordings?
I did no recording outside, but before you move on to that, did you not say or did you not find out from the owner of this particular establishment that there had been at least one fire?
I was trying to remember when you were saying that. Seems like that there was a fire somewhere on the property, and I can't remember where it was at, whether it was in the barn. The barn's still pretty much intact, so I can't remember if he was saying there was a fire there or maybe toward the house or one of the other outbuildings.
Yeah, we should research that because that could be an entity from that particular time if it was 10 or 20 years later.
Well, if the battle had been going on around the area before it became the field hospital, maybe some of the shells set something on fire.
True.
Karen is asking to play it again.
Yeah.
Who did?
Karen, yeah.
Karen did?
Karen.
Okay, I'll play it again for you. So put your headphones on.
Bring up the firemen.
That's what I thought it said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wasn't someone who tended a furnace and shoveled coal into it, weren't they identified at one point as a fireman?
Yes, they were. In furnaces and in the railroad also.
Was it?
The person that shoveled the coal was called a fireman.
There was a train close by there too, wasn't it? Train tracks? Just down the road, wasn't it?
I believe it was.
Oh, no.
Yeah, when you first turned off the main road to go to the brewery, there was a railroad track.
Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and if that was any place where they would like fill their engines with water, after they would fill the tanks with water, they would usually say. In fact, I know this for a fact because I've been looking into some of the stuff in Pennsylvania, around the coal areas where they had trains, and that was one of the instructions they would give once the tanks were full. They would say, "Ring up the firemen." That could very well be what that statement is.
All right, Henry,
that means bring the firemen back to restoke the furnace in the engine.
Henry, let me play the same EVP, but put it on loop so it'll play several times back to back.
Go ahead.
Bring out or ring out the firemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is. There's definitely several different possibilities it could be. But it definitely is a good EVP and definitely would fit in with that area right there.
Okay, I played this one before early on before you came on, and it was something that I caught outside. I was outside with Tabby Cat.
Okay.
The whole recording lasted like about a minute, maybe. It just started and then it stopped. What was taking place, and see if you might know what it might be. They've already give their opinions, and I'll play it for you because I didn't hear it with my ears. It was only picked up on the recorder. So.
No, I'm not right.
It said barn, I think, too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a barn. Yeah. Oh, it's a barn. Barn. Mm-hmm. That's a barn.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that horse's hooves?
I don't think of that.
I don't know. It could have been maybe.
No,
sounds
right.
like people drubbing their fingers.
This sounds like the hooves of horses galloping. A single horse.
Yeah, try that again now that that's been brought up. Because I just thought it was thumping. I didn't think of a horse's
You
hooves.
thought it was paper rustling?
Well, it's better than cattle rustling, I guess.
What did you say it was, Barbara?
It sounded almost like somebody was drumming their fingers. That
Against something, but nobody was.
well, nobody
It was only just
but
No, she's
Well,
not saying somebody was.
In movie production, when you have a Foley, which is in movie production, that's someone who adds sound effects to the movie track later on. There are numerous ways to simulate hooves horses. One is fingers on a wooden surface. Others is with coconut shells on a wooden.
Everyone knows Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Right.
Yes.
But yeah, they can. But nobody was running their. Where would you, if you're standing outside?
When you go out the back door and you go over to the left, in that area,
there's no wooden table or door to be running your fingers on to simulate the sound of horses.
There wasn't anything over there.
Yeah, play it again for us.
All right.
no, I'm not right.
It said barn, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a barn.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a barn.
I think.
Barn.
Mm-hmm.
That's a barn.
Yeah, I agree.
I see what you're saying, but I'm not hearing four legs. There's a definite four-leg, because I've heard horses and sound effects, and I've done Foley myself. But as Barbara earlier was saying that a heartbeat goes lub 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 as opposed to pump 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 pump. Yeah, I was listening for the second set of hooves, but I was only hearing it was like half a horse. But it did have that kind of cadence. No, I'm saying
don't laugh at that guy. Don't laugh at that guy because in Gettysburg, we were staying, and Henry has stayed there himself. It was a place called the Battlefield Bed and Breakfast.
Right.
I looked off to my right, and in the trees, the only way for me to describe what I saw was if you imagine a Confederate soldier with a short gray jacket on, sitting on a horse that's about 21 hands tall, sitting in the saddle, riding the horse at a gallop through the woods. But all I saw was the jacket moving through the trees.
Ooh.
So it's possible. Oh, yeah, I stared at that. I saw that for a good 15, 16-second run of just this jacket riding through the trees. So is it possible for only 3 of the horse's legs to record an audible sound? I don't know. I think that's going to be a
Well, it could also be trying to phase in between dimensions so that only half of the horse was on this side and the other half was on the other.
That's very true. It could have been.
Now, I didn't realize it till I just played that. But if you listen close, I believe you hear Don Allison talking.
Yeah, I think that's myself and my wife, actually.
You was out
And
there
I think
with us.
you and Tabby Cat were nearby. Yeah, I think I remember when that took place, but we didn't hear anything. I don't recall hearing anything.
So I'm going to play it again so you can hear it.
And by the way, for the listeners, it was not windy at all that night.
Mm-hmm. No, it was not.
Is it barn? Barn. That's a barn.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm hearing within that recording, I'm hearing at certain points, I think there's two points in the recording where I hear 4 legs hit the dirt.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And it's dirt. I mean, it's not, we were standing.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely hitting sod. It's not hitting
Yeah.
asphalt or anything, or
It's
rocks.
not asphalt, definitely.
Which brings up an interesting point of one of the theories is that when these spirits make their appearance in a home or a building, that they're seeing it as they did in 1865.
Yeah. Well, it's like the
Right.
monks that look like midgets because the floor is now higher than it was when they were around. You're only seeing
Yeah.
the top half, and they're walking on the original floor below it.
Right.
Wow.
Well, this is the original floor in the brewery.
Right.
They made the point of bringing that up. It was the original wood plank floor.
Was.
And the brewery was there during the battle?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We must
Well,
have
the barn was. It
must
was
have
not a
been
brewery,
giants.
but
We must appear like giants. The average age of a Civil War soldier was 25, and the average height was 5'4".
Wow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Now I'm almost 6'1", so they must look at me and go, "Oh."
Don't mess with that guy.
I'm glad we didn't have to fight a bunch of them.
Yeah, really. Hey, at 5'7", even I would look pretty tall. Yeah.
I'll play this other one for you that my cousin and them caught. And I'm not sure if they was at the well or just out back somewhere talking. But he asked a question, and you have to listen real close, but you can't hear the answer. So turn your sound up. Let's see. Here it is.
Is anyone with us?
It's real quick, right? It starts to get loud. You can hear it. What did it say?
Heard yes.
It sounds more like it's 2 words. I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me again.
Listen again.
Is anyone with us?
Okay.
It's real faint, but you can hear him say, acknowledge that he's there.
It sounds like a woman's voice, though.
You sure? Sound like a man to me.
It sounds like a woman.
It was a very high pitched. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'll send that to you, then you can go through it.
Okay. It might sound like a man to you because you're from Ohio.
Well, listen, I want to thank you guys for being with us tonight. I mean, it's just flown by, especially after Steve come on. I mean, he's just full of it anyway. But anyway, do have to acknowledge that during the dinner there at the Battlefield Brew Works, there was a little presentation, and Steve got to wear a pink bow in his hair.
Aw.
Yes.
Now explain
He
why.
was so sweet looking.
we were planning on going out to the investigation, and Henry had posted several. We're about sold out. Hurry up and get you. If you want to join us, come on out. And there were people posting on Facebook. Well, I can't make it because I have to take my dog to the vet, or I can't make it because I'll be out looking for tires. So I posted, well, I can't make it because I'm doing my hair that night. Oh wait, I'll be there. So, Patsy, go ahead. You can carry it from here, Henry.
Patsy said, "No, I'm fixing him," and she went out and bought a pink bow for him to wear in his hair, and she had to put it in his hair.
And in respect of Patsy, or Nyla with an N, I wore the pink bow.
How else would you spell Nyla?
Well, it goes back
I'm sorry,
long
but
way.
it's
Nyla.
GNYLA. The G
yeah.
is silent,
Really?
like
Right.
I've never noticed that on her Facebook page.
You never? Oh.
Unless I've just been looking at the wrong thing.
Well, that's an inside joke with Patsy and I that goes way back many years.
I would be careful. You might be wearing something. Anyway, I do want to thank you guys because we're down to like 2 minutes. And I wanted to thank you guys again for taking the time to be with us tonight. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. We always had a great time when we went back to the hotel after the investigation. So
Very much so, yeah.
Something to do with that.
Yeah. Anyway, I want you guys to stay on till we're off, but until that time, is there anything you guys like to quickly say? I know Rocky's got to announce what he's doing. He does a radio show, so you can do that and do it quickly, though.
Rock with a Shock every Friday and Saturday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, right on Rock with a Shock Radio Network, rockwithashock.com.
All right. And Mike, where can people find you at?
Well, you can find me right there on the internet at www.theparanormalman.com. And, of course, you can email me anytime at mike@theparanormalman.com.
All right. And Don?
You can find out more about me and my book. I Met a Ghost at Gettysburg at www.imetaghost.com. Email me at don@fatedbanner.com.
All right. And again, looking forward to the next time we all get together and have a great investigation and fun time. So you guys stay on if you want to for a few minutes after we're off, and we'll talk with you for a minute. Next week, we have with us Kevin McQueen talking about his book, Creepy California. So he's a fun guest. We've had him on before. So, with that, Jeff, you can take us out. How's that sound? Real quick.
Facebook. Now you got me flustered. Facebook.com/The Paranormal View, all one word. The official site is theparanormalview.com. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RealBadger, RealBadger. Have a great weekend.
All right. So until then, see everybody next week at the same time. So good night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
You've been listening to The Paranormal View on the ParaX Radio Network. Join us again next week at the same time for more of The Paranormal